Welcome back here today on the beautiful campus of Florida Panhandle Technical College. It's truly, by the calendar anyway, autumn. It sure doesn't feel like it. We had a little bit of a blessing of some cooler weather and lower humidities along with some of the earlier storms that came through. We're right back up into the middle of summer, and unfortunately it is fall. Along with October, November come all of the fall festivals. Our guests today are Maria Johnson and James Godwin from Sunland Center. When we come back, we're going to talk about their big fall festival. If you're a regular viewer of the show, you've certainly seen these folks, and you've experienced their event, if not in person, at least virtually through our photos and videos. Again, when we come back, we're going to talk about all that is the Sunland Fall Festival. There's just too much to say in the introduction, so we'll let them say it when we come back. We will be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, our guests today are Maria Johnson and James Godwin from Sunland Center. You guys are here early. I know that you had to come from Mariana. Before that, you had to come from home to work, then over to the studio here. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you for having us and giving us the opportunity.
Yeah, well, you guys come several times a year, and I try to highlight your events. And actually, my wife at one time worked with the Margaret K. Lewis Center, has a heart for what you guys do. Obviously, there's different levels. We're not here today to talk about what Sunland does, but we certainly have on the show,
right.
And we believe in what you're doing. More importantly, we talk to you guys, and you can't fake what you guys bring to the table.
Absolutely.
We can talk to you for 3 minutes and find out if you're really just doing the job, and there's nothing wrong with that, getting a paycheck, going home, or if you have a heart for what you do. To a person, every single one of you has that heart. Was it hard for you to get up this morning, James, and make it here this early?
Oh, actually, I got up 3 hours before it was time to go to work.
Doing makeup and hair?
Not the makeup. I try to go to the gym and get a little workout to get myself motivated. So when I get to work, I can bring that energy that we need, to serve the residents that we have. So it was a piece of cake getting up early and getting here.
Well, again, I really appreciate both of you making the trip over here. Beth Bafford kind of slimed us. She wished out on us. She decided that not to make the trip over. I guess we've made it a little more painful than we should have in the past. Beth, if you're watching this, which I'm sure you probably are, hopefully you'll come back to defend yourself next time.
Right.
We're here to talk about the Sunland Fall Festival. How many years is this, Maria, that you guys will be doing this huge event?
This is the 39th year, and it has grown every year. I can say that without hesitation. And it is just an incredible event.
Now, Clint Cox, I thought he was supposed to come this morning. Was he originally on the list or not?
Well, he got a pass.
Okay.
But he's one of the, milestones, one of the voice of Sunland, the star of Sunland. So, Clint, if you're watching us, hello, Mr. Cox.
That's right.
Now, Clint and Royce Reagan typically do the video narration of the parade. Clint does the voiceover, as you say, and Royce comes and does that camera work. Is Royce going to come do that for you this year again?
Well, he's not going to do the camera work because he's going to be busy on our main stage this year. We have a lineup to where we're going to have some of our residents, also some people in the community. They're going to come, they're going to perform, and Royce has volunteered to actually man that stage. He's going to provide the music for the entertainers and just man that stage. When I left, headed here, he was meeting with the team back at the center trying to prepare for the Fall Festival. So again, Royce is volunteering. He's trying to do something. He's staying involved, and we appreciate everything he does.
Yeah, wow, that's great. In the past, Royce has kind of vented to me. He said, I'm on the little stage, I just barely get set up, and, we play several songs, and bam, it's on to the next person. Do you think you try to cram too much entertainment, too many acts, thereby allowing too little time for each individual act in that pavilion stage?
I don't know.
I can kind of answer that. And that was part of the reason why we brought Royce on as a volunteer to be part of the committee.
To manage the entertainment?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a professional in that area, and we have staff that is working closely with him. So he's played a big part in the entertainment this year, the time frames, and how long they will be on stage. So we're looking for it to go pretty smooth. Again, him being a part of the community, coming in and to help us. That's what we're about, just helping each other. So.
One of those situations, Royce, is you be careful what you volunteer for, because if you complain, maybe turn it right around and say, hey, what would you do if you had it to improve? That's a big step. That is huge.
Yes.
I got to tell you, sometimes too much is too much. And
Right.
when somebody prepares for a performance and they make the opportunity to travel to that venue, and they dress for it, et cetera, and they only play for 15 or 20 minutes, that's disingenuous to the entertainer. Really should be a longer performance. So now, is Dickie Merritt and Bama Jam going to be part of that this year?
Yes, Bama Jam will be there.
Okay.
We have the Beaver Course from Riverside Elementary School. We will have, you got to help me out, Maria.
Nisa Semler
Okay.
from Panama City. Al Ivy, he was there. No, Johnson, Al Ivy Johnson is his full name, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and he will be there. The Lamplighters, the Anointed Sons of God. My 3 boys that played at Art in the Park, 2 of them played at Art in the Park, but 3 are going to play at Fall Festival. Will be there to play. Graphite Stone is the name of their little combo group. And let's see, who am I leaving out?
Well, we're going to have several of our residents going to perform. And in the past, we've had the stage in the back of the park. So we did a little brainstorming, we did assessment on it. And our goal is, it's about them, okay, that day. So we have, we're building a stage now. We're moving it closer to the road. So as people walk by, they'll be able to see our residents perform. Even if they don't want to stop and sit down, they're still going to be visible to where, the community will be able to see them perform, throughout the day. So we're excited about that. And we have a long list of residents that's, like I said, throughout the day they'll be performing, and it's going to be a great day.
I am so glad that you came to that. That in itself is a huge improvement. That bigger stage, which, as you say, was typically in the back of the
Right.
property, had some great entertainment. Now, that doesn't mean that it wasn't crowded, because typically some of your larger groups of younger children were there, so y'all had all the parents and grandparents. It was hard to get close enough to the stage to take pictures at times.
yeah.
So it
Right.
wasn't that you didn't enjoy a big crowd, but it just seems like you could engage more people over the course of the day by having them, having that more visible or
Right.
easily heard, like you say, from the main road. Because it was a long journey back to that backstage through all the vendors.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And if you're there to look at the vendors, by the time you get through 50 or 100 vendors, man, you've wasted the day, or at least you've used up the day. You guys have so much going on. It's one of those things where you're cramming 25 pounds in a 5-pound sack, And that's a good problem to have, because I dare say, and I've said this before, correct me if you think I'm wrong, I think that you can go to the Sunland Fall Festival for 3 or 4 years and still never see all of the different aspects that you present.
All right, I will agree with that, yes.
What are your times?
The parade kicks off the event at 9 a.m. and it lasts until 3 p.m.
Okay, not the parade, the event.
No, the event, right.
The parade is a very long parade, though.
Yes, it is.
It's growing.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, this year is not a political year, so you won't have the politicians shaking baby and kissing hands. But you do have a lot of community involvement. Every nonprofit, I dare say, is there. The Volunteer of the Year from Red Cross is always a part of it. You have the unicycles. You've got your fire departments and your police and sheriff's offices. You've got pretty much a cross section of the community. And then you've got all of your pageant queens. The pageant queens,
Absolutely.
any given year, make up probably 50% of your. Then you have some horses. You've got an equine segment, mercifully at the back of the parade, so that everybody doesn't have to walk through what they leave behind. But it is an interesting parade, and it's a very long parade. That's why I was kidding about the 9 to 3. But it's a full hour, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. And we go from the parade, we go right into the entertainment. So, once the parade is over, the entertainment get kicked off, and the festival is on. I think also is that we do not have a fair in Jackson County. Okay, so this is an opportunity for everyone to get together and the fellowship. That's why we brought B&B in from Dothan, Alabama. The inflatables, we have the different rides, for the kids to ride on. They're going to add this year this swing that 12 people can get on at one time. Of course, they have the train, the zip line, the bull ride, and other kind of rides. But this is an opportunity, for the parents that can bring their kids out and let them have a good time in the community. Once again, we don't have a fair. So this is like the fair, in Jackson County.
It's a free event insofar as there's no entrance fee. But there's no such thing as a free lunch. somebody is picking up the tab. And for that, you've got to thank all of your community partners, not the least of which is Sunland itself. But you've got a lot of people that come to the table to make this thing happen.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You have a huge staff of personnel who are by default volunteers. They are volunteered. It's an all hands on deck, I would imagine.
Yes, it is.
No excuses accepted. Everybody attends. But at the end of that day, you guys pull off a Class A event, again, at no cost to the public. Are there any large sponsors or benefactors that you would like to mention?
Well, to be honest with you, Sunland, we pull it off. We have great staff. We have great leadership. You know, of course, our superintendent, Ms. Jerry Williams, and we have a new deputy superintendent, Mr. H.N. Abner. They support us along with the staff, and we pull it all together. You know, with the setting up the vending, getting different individuals to come in. Now, we do get some assistance from some local clubs to help with parking.
The Civil Air Patrol.
Civil Air Patrol, yeah, and we get some assistance, but majority is Sunland staff.
Wow. Even though, well, it's free admission. If you want to spend money, you can certainly do that. You can spend money with some of the food vendors. At times, I've heard numbers around 100 vendors of all of the crafts and arts and all that. How many vendors do you think you'll have this year, ballpark?
Probably 110, 15.
So in excess of 100.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yes, we did. Yes.
And then how many food vendors roughly do you have? 20, 30?
Yeah, we stay around between actually 30, 40. You know, last year we did about 36, but the numbers are increasing this year. So we're looking no more than about 40 food vendors, but you know, that's enough food, I guess.
The thing about going to any kind of an outdoor event like yours, whether it's a carnival or fair or a fall festival, is that you get a chance to eat all of that festival food that is so bad for you, and that you wouldn't eat every day without having an angioplasty about once a month.
Right.
But you can eat it, whether it's the funnel cakes or the corn dogs, you know, the cotton candy, all of the stuff which the doctors now tell us is bad for us, but
Right.
is all the good stuff. I think that they take all the flavors and all of the sacrifices that we make all year long and put all of that into festival food.
Right.
But it's the good stuff. And I mean, my goodness, you see a child walking around with a funnel cake the size of a dinner plate. So there's plenty to entertain. I usually get there an hour before the parade starts. I get a chance to shoot video and photo, the vendors setting up, you know, them, the children acting out with their parents as they're being told what to do. I mean, I like to get the candid stuff. You know, I like to get.
I love your candid work.
I don't want
It's awesome.
the staged, you know, one-trick pony smiles.
No, it's not real.
And I get beat up a lot by my wife and the public for that, because people go, my goodness, how could you have run a picture of me, you know, wearing that? And I said, well, you know, it's fair game, and the camera doesn't lie. So if the camera, you know, makes you look homely in that shot, or if you've got that resting face, you know, that we all love so much, where it looks like you're mad at the world, believe me, I'm not making that up. The camera sees what it sees.
That's right.
So our message to the world is simply smile more.
That's right.
Be pleasant when we come around. The worst thing that you can do is tell me not to take your picture, because I'll get that picture.
You will. Right. You will.
We do it all in good fun, and we hope people understand that we simply are trying to convey to the rest of the world what we have to offer in what we call the real Florida of Jackson, Holmes, and Washington County. Here up on the ridge, here along the I-10 corridor, I dare say between Sneed's and Ponce de Leon, we offer just a slice of life that is quickly going away in the bigger municipal areas,
totally
unfortunately.
agree.
Even to the south of us. For 35 years, my wife and I lived in Panama City Beach. In radio and television, my job was to say, come on down. Well, one day we woke up and realized they had come on down, and no longer did I want to live in that kind of congestion. 12 years ago, we moved to up here in Washington County. And now we have the opportunity to deal with Sunland and with Holmes, Jackson, Washington County, even at some of the events in Southeast Alabama. It's a different world. Yeah. And for those who have not experienced it, for those who live in Montgomery or Birmingham or Atlanta or even Dothan, come down to where it's a little more quiet, pristine natural resources, salt of the earth people, a lot less drama, a lot less acting out. We have our own form of politics, but we don't get embroiled in some of the issues that are going on in the rest of the world. And we're very fortunate for that. What's the best part of being involved with the Fall Festival, James?
Well, I'm a people's person, and I love seeing people happy. And I love seeing our residents happy. I love seeing the staff happy. I love seeing the staff kids happy. So this is like, a day where we all get together and spend time with one another, see a lot of smiles, and I just get joy seeing other people happy.
What's the biggest challenge, Maria?
Oh gosh.
Besides coming here.
Probably last minute things that are done. Getting all revved up the day before and having to be
We
there
never
at
sleep the day
5. At 5 the next morning.
Now, by
It's-
default, you sort of head up the art portion of all of your events. Do you also coordinate that for the Fall Festival, some of the artsy stuff?
Well, I usually decorate, but I have folks that help me. And this year we had a scarecrow contest. We actually came over my art class and entered in your Chipley
Yes.
contest.
How did you place?
We placed second place in the adult division. My
What happened?
students were so excited. We won $50.
Yeah, but why didn't you get first?
Well, I don't know, but
Did a local win?
Jenny Dean was not happy all the way home.
Yeah,
I
I
can
can
tell
imagine
you that. She's
like
a
a fix.
sore loser.
Sounds like the fix was in. Was it a local that won?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, well, see, there you go. But I interrupted you. Tell me more about the scarecrow.
But we had a contest at Sunland because we thought it would be a good way for our staff to participate in the decorating and it wouldn't be so burdensome to just a few folks. And we have 20 that are just absolutely incredible.
And they will
we're
be
going
there?
to place them in the park, and that's real exciting. I was just amazed. Mrs. Williams comes to my room and sometimes my office area, and she'll say, "This is the happiest place. Look at all these folks."
We're talking about the 39th Annual Sunland Fall Festival this year on Saturday, October 28th. That's Halloween weekend. Lots going on in that period. It's a good problem to have when you have too many events going on. Between Southeast Alabama and Northwest Florida, we have everything from the Peanut Festival to the Apalachicola Seafood Festival to the various county fairs. You mentioned Jackson County doesn't have one, neither does Washington County, but there are a plethora of county fairs. Those are just run rampant during this time of year. All the churches have their fall festivals.
Right.
On and on and on. You've got the tailgate parties and all that is involved with all of those respective homecomings. So on some weekends, and we try to cover as much of the community as we can. We make some people mad because there are some things that we just can't get to. But on some occasions, on some evenings or some weekends, there's literally 3, 4, 5, or 6 things happening at
Yes,
one
there
time.
is.
Graceville Fall Festival coming up, I think, next weekend.
Right.
Right.
So there's always something going on. I would dare say that Sunland, especially being 39 years young, gets as much attention and as much attendance as anything. Also, on those political years, and obviously every 2 years we experience those, all those running not just in Jackson County but from the surrounding counties. Last year we saw, and it was a presidential cycle, so obviously it was even larger than normal. But we saw political candidates from Southeast Alabama, from Washington County, from Bay County, from Gadsden and Leon to your east. It's a huge event, and I would dare say that if you didn't even advertise it, if you didn't come on our show, if you didn't even put up the first poster, that on that day that you'd be crowded. There'd be a whole bunch of people there just because people know about it. The thing I like most, and I got to tell you that you said it earlier, James, this is all about your residents. This is all about those folks who are taking advantage of what Sunland offers for rehabilitative, for educational purposes. Personal story real quick. 3 years ago, I was walking around the festival, taking some pictures. I was in line, the very long line, unfortunately, to go to the bathroom, and there was a guy standing with a resident, and we got to talking, and the gentleman identified himself as a retired policeman from Walton County, and the resident was his brother, had been there most of his life. And we spoke for a while, and that was that. The next year, I heard somebody yelling, and it was the resident who recognized me and was coming running over. Last year, the third year, it happened again. So I would think, in large part, that sometimes this event becomes the focal point of the year for that resident, for the family of that resident, because in the case of families, they can come spend the day on the grounds in this environment, in as normal an environment as possible.
Absolutely.
Talk about, James, how the residents participate. I know in other events they perform and they've done artwork. How do they participate in the Fall Festival?
Well, even before that day, I mean, you know, we have preparation and we have vocational training programs on center, and we utilize those centers to prepare for the Fall Festival. Example, we're going to have something new this year. We're going to have the outside shuttle. It's going to be going from the airport to the old Unimac building, and so we had to go and paint the wagon, tear the old carpet out, put new carpet in, just restore the wagon. So the residents helped with that project. All right, we had some issues going on with the stage, so they helped prepare, you know, a new stage. They helped prepare the grounds to make sure the grounds are looking, you know, really nice. The day before the Fall Festival, which is the 27th, we get some of the residents coming down, and the vendors can actually set up on that Friday before, beginning at 8 a.m. and we'll close at 4:30 p.m. So they get excited about meeting different people. They'll come down, help take tents out the cars, help put tents up, move tables, and things so they get excited about it. We had some residents that, we had some tents that are very difficult to put up. They're the only one who knew how to put the tents up. So we would call them and say, hey, we need you guys to come, so we need to put these tents up. You'll see them driving around in carts, just moving things from one place to another, and they get really excited. And earlier you mentioned about parents, you know, spending the day. Some parents will spend the weekend, because we have hospitality housing for the parents, and they will call in the reserve, and they will spend the whole entire weekend and you know, spend that time with their family. So it's a lot of preparation. And I guess, you know, when I say, well, you know, how do we put this together? Yes, we rely on the staff, but the residents as well. They play a big part in preparation of the Fall Festival. So without them, there wouldn't be any preparation, I'm telling you. They do a great job with that.
A couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to visit Rish Park, and your superintendent, Jerry Williams, came down. Several members of your staff, I believe that you came along as well.
Yes, sir.
We had a chance to get some aerial photography and aerial video of the, but more importantly, we got to see the environment in which your staff and residents are able to, I hate to use the word act, I mean, it simply live, simply enjoy that which God has given us in the form of this very natural place there on the beach. But the fact that you engage the families of your residents, to me, that's huge. And going back to that story of meeting the gentleman whose brother lived there, I've gotten to the point where now some of your residents know me, and I feel like I feel very comfortable coming back. You know, I feel like it's homecoming almost. Maria, talk a little bit about the fact that Jerry Williams, relatively new, what, 3 years now? 2.5, 3 years?
Yeah, it's about 3.5. About 3.5.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's no longer the new guy.
Right.
She can be held to task. She's up to speed. Jerry has brought to the table, and not comparing her to anybody else, but I've not had the opportunity to have the intimate relationship with any of the others that I have been able to have with Jerry, having some, you know, long conversations, talking about philosophies, talking about what Sunland is all about, talking about mission statement and if you're accomplishing that or not, and how the state allows you the freedom to try and to try different things and to make things work. Talk a little bit about what Jerry Williams has brought to the table as that superintendent and how it sort of has affected the entire campus.
Absolutely. Golly. Inclusion is a good way to start. Mrs. Williams believes that we hope that some of our people will be able to transition back into the community. And you cannot expect people to be successful if they have not been exposed to the community and inclusion. And when you said a community, it didn't take me but about 3 weeks when I started almost 13 years ago at Sunland to realize they're no different than you and I. They're human beings. They have their, some of them have their little quirks, but I bet you do, and I know I do, and I'm sure, and I know James Godwin does. And so when you realize that, and you know, I can't imagine ever looking at someone that I have had the opportunity to work with, because Mrs. Williams made it possible for me to share my talents. I have an art class, and we have been to Tallahassee. We did a field trip to see the Game of Fortune that was done by the Pyramid Players, and to just see them be so included and appreciating opportunities that at one time they did not have. Things going to see a play, actually having a play. We had our first play.
Using the residents?
Yes.
Residents,
Absolutely.
yes, and it was incredible. And she encourages to give them more than just the excellent care that they receive. They need outlets just like we do.
For example,
and opportunities.
Not to cut you off, but I mean, I get excited when we start talking about
He does.
Yeah. So, but okay, theatrical play, Little Red Riding Hood. I mean, this is a vision that Miss Williams, she had this. We have dance classes going on.
Right.
We have art classes going on. Now we have culinary, a culinary team where they go to culinary and they're actually cooking. We have a food truck. We actually cooked out of the food truck last week. You know, so these are just some of the things that, you know, Ms. Williams, she just had this vision outside of the box. Normalization, giving the residents the opportunity to prepare for, you know, our ultimate goals for them to go back into the community and live a normal life. So she challenged the team, you know, to come up with ways to where we can prepare them. So that's just some of the things. And I think most of all, she brings to the table a person that is respected and will respect you. And she expects for us as team players to treat the residents the same way at all times. And that goes a long ways.
50, 60 years ago, which is not that long ago, but when I was young, folks who had disabilities of some kind, and sometimes it didn't take a lot if family members decided to commit them, they ended up in what was the state hospital. And I think every part of the country had those facilities. They may have gone by different names, but they were the place where these people were unfortunately castigated and fed and clothed, and that was about it. There was no rehabilitative effort. There was no educational effort. You guys have a world-class printing facility completely run by residents. You put it very well, Maria. Sometimes people are just simply different, and the world has gotten no slower since 50, 60 years ago, so we're more apt than ever now to pigeonhole people, to judge them based on first impressions, and, well, I can't do that with that person because they don't have that capability. Everybody's different. I think our viewers will certainly readily agree that I'm one of the strangest guys that they know, but at the end of the day, you like to think that everybody has an opportunity to have a platform. And unless we take the time to look that person in the eyes and allow that communication, to foster that communication, that love, you're never going to know. You guys excel in just that. Your campus is, first of all, very beautiful. It's a pastoral setting. It's a very old setting. You've got the old historic oaks. It's just a gorgeous facility right there next to the airport for all practical purposes. You've had a series of superintendents over the years who've always done a great job. Clint Cox, his dad, was actually a superintendent. And who else? Was it Beth Basford?
Beth's father-in-law.
Father-in-law.
Arthur Basford.
So you've got a family tree of your own as staff on those grounds. 13 years in your case. How long have you been there, James?
I've been in Sunland for 7 years, but been with the department for 20 years.
So
best job I ever had. Sunland Center.
And I dare say that every single person on your campus would say exactly that, and most of them have on any given occasion. I've had the opportunity to interview a lot of them, to even just speak one-on-one with them. Your people are there for the right reasons.
Right.
Sometimes I would imagine you have to winnow out somebody who is there just for a paycheck and who may not be doing the kind of job that you want, but that's the same for any job, no matter what you're doing. If you're putting doors on at the Ford plant or you're building widgets somewhere, it's a job. Yours is an avocation. Yours is a philosophy. You have to, it's almost a quasi-religion. You have to have buy-in on what your purpose, your goal, your mission statement is. And Jerry has done a lot to solidify that.
Absolutely.
And hats off to her. So I appreciate you taking the time today. I didn't want to take time away from talking about what your upcoming event is, but I think it's important for our viewers on every occasion to know, to be able to underscore the reason that Sunland is there, the good works that are being done. More important, invite them to come. You can't just walk on campus, but you can certainly call ahead or go to the office and see if you can't get a tour. I know you guys are very gracious and have an open campus as far as showing the world what it is that you do.
Right.
You need that community support.
Yes.
And nowhere is it more evident than in your Fall Festival. This year, the 39th annual, coming up on October 28th. It's the last Saturday in October. Totally free admission. Bring some dollars because you're going to want to you want to eat some of that terrible for you fair food, which is all the good stuff. Everything's deep fried or on a stick, and anything that can be put on a stick, they will serve at this festival. More importantly, though, you've got the artwork, you've got the performing arts, you've got all of the great vendors, arts and crafts out the wazoo. You just got everybody who's in the arts and crafts business will be there.
Yes.
Right. We have a lot of vendors, arts and craft vendors.
And what's interesting to me is that I see the same vendors. When I go to Sunland for the next calendar year, I see some of these people and they remember me. Because I always make a point of, sharing our pictures or friending them on Facebook, making sure that they realize we're doing our part. Thanks, I'm not asking for anything, but sometimes my Mango Freeze people will give me a free cup of mango ice, and if you guys are watching this, hint, hint. Is there anything, James, that we may have forgotten to talk about? I know sometimes I've got my own agenda and I'm like, grab a rope and hang on, but is there anything that we may not have spoken about?
Just a little change this year at the airport entrance and the Sunland entrance. We're going to have the information booth relocated to those areas. So when you come in the festival, the first thing you will see is the information booth, a legend that would have all the vendor information. So if you want turkey legs or gator on the stick or candy apples, or if you want to go to the Funland, it'll be right there once you come to the gate.
So one of those at each entrance?
Yes, at each entrance. So
that's a great idea.
So we're going to see how it goes.
Yeah, your information booth typically has always been right in the middle.
Yes.
And which was fine, but you almost needed a map to find the information booth.
Right.
So better for it to be more.
Absolutely.
You guys don't miss an opportunity to improve every year.
Every year. After the festival, a week later, we do a post-Fall Festival meeting. So basically, we look at what we done, what worked, what didn't work, what we need to try for the next year, and immediately we start working for the following year.
In the interest of equal time, is there anything, Maria, that I may have forgotten to discuss?
We are going to have some live demonstrators, heritage demonstrators. Not sure how many now, but we have an area that is the log cabin homestead area. And Mr. Arthur Basford, who was a former superintendent, was actually born in that little log cabin.
Wow.
And it is really an incredible area. And so we're going to try to start promoting that a little bit too. And so be sure and visit that area.
Yeah, we used to have what was called the Legends and Lore Festival at Falling Water State Park every year. And we had all of those heritage exhibitors. We had the corn shucking and the soap making, and they would make corn pone, and we had some of the Civil War reenactors. We had all of the old arts. We had some old carvers that worked strictly with hand tools. And I've got footage of some of those. Subsequent to this taping today, if you think about it, send me a list maybe of some of the people that you'll have. I may even already have some of those on videotape that we can include as part of this show.
Oh, absolutely.
To let people know about it. I think that's a great feature and addition. So again, thanks to both of you for being here.
Can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
All right. For the vendors that are watching, we're filling up very, very quickly. The numbers are high this year, so we're going to get to a point where we're going to have to cut off. So if you want to be a vendor, please call Miss Maria Johnson at 850-482-9373. I didn't want to say my number. Had to make sure I said 9373. So they call Maria Johnson.
Right.
Again, the cutoff date for it is the 18th. October the 18th, cutoff for all vendors. So please get your information in, give Maria a call, and we'd love to see you at the festival.
Give us that number one more time for people who want to be a vendor.
850-482-9373.
We're looking forward to all of that. I'm really surprised that you've still got spaces, really, the way that people do flood in. But that's a good thing. If you're a vendor, good information. Anything else?
Look forward to seeing you on October 28th.
Come join us.
We will be there, and smile every chance you get because you never know when your picture's going to
That's right.
Our guests today have been Maria Johnson and James Godwin from the Sunland Center in Marianna, Florida. Here today talking about Sunland Center in general, but more importantly, the upcoming 39th Annual Sunland Fall Festival happening this year on Saturday, October 28th, the last Saturday in the month, just prior to Halloween. If you feel so compelled to dress up, please join us in costume. This is one you're not going to want to meet. It's totally free to the public. It's not free to put on. There's an awful lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as you just heard, that goes into the preparation, the execution of this event. And we encourage each and every one of you to join us there. If you don't have the opportunity to join us on Real Florida Magazine on Facebook, you'll certainly be able to experience that festival vicariously through our photos and videos. We'll be right back.